Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini episode, I have a couple of great stories. One, a lake monster that was seen in Norway, and another, this large, unidentified creature was seen as well, folks. It was a unicorn. Either way, let's get into the first story. Hornindal's Svasnet serpent photo sparked Norway's lake monster revival in Grodis, Nordfjord. On the night of August 1st, 2012, three local men on Europe's deepest lake, Hornindal's Svasnet, reported a brief, close-range sighting of a serpent-like form that left only ripples behind. A single photo went global, reigniting an old regional legend and sparking immediate debate: an unknown animal, an optical illusion, or a deliberate tourism stunt. Let's read on and find out, folks. According to multiple Norwegian press accounts, photographer Andreas Salvik and two friends, Adrid Ardadal and Finn Ninehammer, were out on Hornindal's Svasnet near Nordfjord when they noticed unusual ripples on an otherwise calm water. Under a bright moon, they reported spotting an object they interpreted as a sea serpent at roughly 21:30, estimating it was about 70 meters away, visible for about a minute and moving west. Two of the men took photos while the third steered their small motorboat toward the disturbance. By the time they reached the spot, the creature, they claimed, had vanished. They stated that only the surface ripples remained, and they did not believe another boat caused the effect. The image and the story were provided to the local newspaper for Jordigan, and editor Bent Flatten publicly supported the men's credibility and said the photo showed a distinct multi-section form, describing visible archers, a rear section resembling a tail, and what appeared to be a head at the opposite end. The account was then amplified through national coverage, quickly drawing comparisons to Loch Ness and to Norway's better-known lake serpent tradition at Salvasavenet. Local lore was pulled into the spotlight immediately. In interviews, Solvik also referenced stories attributed to hotel owner Ola Raftvold, who reportedly claimed the creature surfaced in moonlight, reinforcing the idea that this was not a brand new legend, but a long-standing regional narrative. Not everyone agreed. A follow-up report quoted a fisheries biologist at Norway's Institute of Marine Research who argued that sea serpents are mythical and that the lack of physical evidence is best explained by non-existence. Other experts quoted in Norwegian media were skeptical that the photo depicted a living animal, noting that the movement pattern did not resemble that of a known swimming species, while also acknowledging that the image was difficult to identify conclusively from a single frame. And here's the photo itself, folks. As you can see, it really does seem to depict some sort of serpent or lake monster in this photo, folks. Is it real or is it a misidentification? It does look pretty real to me, folks, but I can't be for sure. Let's talk about it a little later, folks, because we have to finish off this article now. A later local feature on the event noted that some residents suspected a constructed hoax, specifically a rumor that a sea serpent replica made from segmented tires may have been created years earlier to attract attention to the area. That allegation remains unproven, but it is part of the post-event folklore that grew up around the image. Context matters here. Hornindal's Svasnet is officially measured at 514 meters deep with a surface elevation of around 53 meters above sea level. Placing its bottom well below sea level, the lake's extreme depth and dark glacial character are precisely the ingredients that historically help lake monster traditions thrive because they create the impression of hidden space and unknowable biology. So, is it possible that there is a lake monster? An actual real one, folks? Or do you think it possibly could be maybe a giant eel or something, or another type of animal? Because it has been noted that in lakes and rivers where people have seen lake monsters, there's been found to be eel DNA. So maybe what was seen was a giant eel. I use that explanation a lot, folks, because it generally feels like the right one to me. But then again, this lake also has a history of seeing such, I guess, mythical creatures, perhaps, folks. So that's another thing to remember. Either way, very odd story, folks. And it's nice hearing about another lake monster that has been witnessed by people. Either way, let's move on to the next article, folks, and hear about this unknown cryptid that these people thought was maybe a rumored unicorn. So let's get into this article. Rumored unicorn encounter in Toronto's Don Valley raised modern questions about an ancient creature, and read all about the encounter the witnesses had with this abnormally and unforeseen specimen, folks. Let's continue. In late summer of the 2010s, a quite stretch of Toronto's Don Valley became the focus of unexpected global attention after a local birdwatcher reported filming what appeared to be a unicorn. While unicorns are traditionally confined to medieval manuscripts and mythological bestiaries, this modern claim adds to a small but persistent body of similar reports dating back to the last century. According to the original report distributed by Newswire, Toronto's resident and amateur birdwatcher Peter Hickey Jones was filming wildlife in the Don Valley wetland when he noticed a bright white animal emerging from the tree line, initially assuming he was observing a horse that had wandered into the conservation area. Hickey Jones continued filming. As the animal moved into clearer view, he became aware of what appeared to be a single horn projecting from the center of its forehead, and probably got the shock of his life, folks, that he was looking at a unicorn. Now, it could be that this was a horse and that someone basically glued an artificial horn to its forehead, folks, because that's the thought that just came to me here as I'm reading this article. And this guy, not expecting to see anything like this, immediately thought that he was actually looking at a unicorn. Then again, I might be insulting this man's intelligence, folks, because maybe he would have thought of that as well. We'll learn about that as we read further into his story, folks. But either way, I can imagine he was probably very shocked by this, as I said earlier, unforeseen encounter. But let's read on, folks. Hickey Jones later stated that the creature moved deliberately and cautiously, remaining partially concealed by foliage before retreating into the wooded area. He reported no signs of distress or aggression, describing the animal as calm and alert, yet clearly wary of human presence. The footage was subsequently presented to the Ontario Science Centre, where staff confirmed that a frame-by-frame analysis was underway to determine whether the horn could be explained by lighting perspective or digital artifacting. Let's continue, folks, because this is certainly interesting. Is it possible that this was some sort of digital, hoax? I'm not quite sure, folks. It sounds like Hickey Jones is generally telling the truth, but let's continue. Out of an abundance of caution, the Ontario Science Centre issued a public advisory urging residents not to approach any unusual animals. It established an emergency hotline for reports of additional sightings. While no official confirmation was issued, the institution acknowledged that the footage did not immediately match known local wildlife. Well, I would distinctly think it would not look like a deer, or basically be possibly misidentified as a deer, folks, because it had only a horn sticking out of its head and it was clearly more horse-like than anything else. Then again, the fact that this unicorn did resemble a horse, folks, is something. I've heard in mythology, actual unicorns don't actually resemble horses all that much. They more resemble deer, perhaps, or at the very least, they're thinner-bodied than actual horses. In fact, the Chinese unicorn, folks, basically looks completely bizarre. I think it has lizard scales and has qualities like a dragon, but has a single horn as well, folks. So I don't think anyone could mistake that for a horse. And this indie here, folks, whatever it really was, as you can see from this, I think maybe frame from the actual video, folks, it does look like a unicorn to me with a single horn. But as I said, folks, it looks like a horse. So unless it is a horse, but maybe it's deformed. Maybe this is some sort of weird tumor growing out of its head, folks. I would have to say, most likely, this is a horse, but someone glued an artificial horn to its forehead. Then again, maybe it's actually a real magical creature, folks, and all the legends that say, unicorns only slightly resemble horses, maybe they're wrong. Maybe indeed this is a real unicorn, folks. Then again, someone would have to actually catch it, folks. And if you know anything about the legends, unicorns are exceptionally hard to catch. But folks, we're now at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in descriptions or the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure at the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications. And please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.